At the beginning of the 1800s, conflict regarding wages in the state of Massachusetts was peaking. Starting in Lowell, Massachusetts, the first city of mills was created, forging the way for the textile industry in America. The owners of this mill were looking for cheap labor and turned to young, unmarried women. These women were willing to work to make a life for themselves, not having to rely on men. Eventually, the owners took advantage of the workers, extending the workday and cutting salaries. Likewise, the Massachusetts 54th Infantry also fought for wages. The 54th Massachusetts was a nearly all African-American regiment of the Union in the Civil War. White soldiers were paid $13 for their efforts, while the African-Americans were paid $10. Even the commander, Robert Goldshaw, who was white, refused to accept any payment until the wage cap was seized.
Lowell, Massachusetts, 1835. My name is Mary Paul. I grew up in northern Vermont, one of 4 children, working as a housekeeper with my mom and other siblings my entire life. When I turned 13, working for Lowell, Massachusetts mills gave me a chance to earn my own money and get away from my family for the first time. Feeling butterflies in my stomach, I entered the mill for the first time. I was ecstatic. I couldn't help but feel a mix of surprise and curiosity as I discovered the room setup. Just 3 beds, one of which I was meant to share with 2 other girls in the mill. The next day, I was given a tour and shown where I would be working. The clattering of looms filled the halls, accompanied by the rhythmic whir of spinning wheels. The air smelled of damp fibers and machinery oil. Walking past, I saw a girl around my age working 2 looms, who looked like she was ready to give up. I wondered if this was the right place for me, but it was already too late to back out. Lowell, Massachusetts, 1836. The strike. After hearing the bells, I knew it was time to start another terrible and painful day. As I walked to my station, one of my roommates stopped me.
Have you heard? The owners are going to lower our wages. We already get paid nothing and we're treated like dirt. This is not fair at all. Something needs to change.
You're right. I've had enough of this. I came here for an opportunity not to be used. I'm going to spread a message. When the final bells ring, we'll strike. Word about the strike spread fast. Workers stopped working to make posters. When that bell finally struck, we knew things would soon start to change.
Both the 54th Massachusetts Infantry and the Lowell Mill Girls were fighting for causes greater than themselves. The 54th Massachusetts Infantry fought for the abolition of slavery as well as equal pay between white and black soldiers. The Lowell Mill Girls fought for better pay and working conditions. The causes that both sides were battling for outweighed their individual goals. They fought for the betterment of their country, a country without discrimination based on race or gender.
The men are preparing for the charge, exchanging letters with the inevitability of fatality. We weren't scared to die. I can see the approach of the fort, a small strip of beach, 50, maybe 60 yards wide, with the wicked Atlantic to the east and Vincent's Marsh to the west. We have a 250-yard march to the south face of Fort Wagner, which the scouts say is surrounded by a shallow moat set with sharpened palmetto logs and planks with spikes positioned beneath the water. This is the same water as Fort Sumter, and the first shots of the war so long ago. At first, we were just walking. But within 150 yards of the fort, Taliaferro yells, "Fire!" as he crested the flaming parapet. Shaw waved his sword, shouted, "Forward 54th!" and then pitched headlong into the sand. The weight of the war hung heavily upon us, but we knew what we were fighting for. We were fighting for something bigger than ourselves. We were fighting for generations to come and for a world of freedom that is not determined by the color of one's skin. Nearing the fort, I could see the faces of Confederate soldiers across the battlefield, their expressions reflecting desperation as they sought to preserve that hateful institution of slavery. The losses were substantial, but we pressed forward inch by inch through the relentless hail of enemy fire as we reached the fort. We knew that night we made history. We showed that a black man was capable of fighting and laying down their lives for the cause of freedom. Even though the battle was not won, our actions showed our bravery and our loyalty to our country.